to you. Good morning to
All right,
you.
I think we're going to be live in three, two, and one. Hey, Laresa? Thank you first of all for being here. You're the first guest on the show here at Square Media Studios with the project, and I truly, truly, truly appreciate it. I really, really do.
Absolutely. I am so excited to be a part of this venture and can't wait to be here again with you guys.
Well, trust me, this is not your first. I mean, I'm sorry, your last time here. Not your last time. Listen, were you able to take the link and blast it?
Yep, I will definitely do that. Yep, yep,
Okay.
yep. Let's do that right now.
Let's
You
go
know
ahead and
what?
knock it out. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and knock that out and do that right now.
Because this is not just this is not a like a one-time 3-minute
Absolutely.
show.
So everybody can tune in. We want you guys to tune in and hear the topics we're talking about. So let's do this.
Yeah,
All right.
that's the live feed right there.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Awesome. Yay.
So I probably need to do that too.
Yeah. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah. What did you do it on?
Well, you know what? I did it on Facebook.
Okay. Um, I'm gonna do it. Can you do it on Instagram?
I, well, you know what happens on Instagram is this. So it's harder for people sometimes because they won't be able to actually go in and just click on a link. Social media
Gotcha.
is great, but sometimes we as folks get a little lazy and we want those links and all those things to be there and perfected.
Yeah.
But you know what? On your page, if you have an Instagram page, it's really, really easy for you to do. You can put the link in your bio and make it easy for people to actually tune in that way too.
This is awful. Now, I've done this many times before, and all of a sudden I can't do it on Facebook. Where am I putting the link? I'm putting it
You
out.
can actually put right, yep.
What's
you
on
can,
your mind?
Yep, what's on your mind, and then you can let folks know that here's what's happening, here's what's going on, and click here to tune in. Hey, we should snap a picture. Let's snap a picture, and you can add the picture. Listen to us live right now.
Okay. Well, I'm just doing it. You did it. I did it. Hopefully, at least a couple people will be up and
Yep.
be able to watch this thing. But trust me, we can do selfies and all those other kinds of things as well.
All
But
right.
so, hey, a couple of things. You are on TV now.
Yep,
of
I am.
course, When you and I met, you were a producer, and I was on air.
Yes.
I wasn't very good at it, but I did what I could. And anyway, you're on camera.
Yeah, so I would disagree with what you said. It's all good, and you know what? Out of what you did on TV, look at what you're doing now. So you're doing some phenomenal things. Your own video production company, one of the top companies here in the Charlotte area.
Well, thank you.
Right? And
Thank you.
so if you have video needs, he's the guy to call. Like seriously. So yeah, I was a news producer for 7 years at a station in Greensboro, North Carolina, and then I moved to Charlotte, and so was a news producer, always working behind the scenes, stacking shows, and what that means is I decide what stories go first, what stories go last, and so now I've moved into a different segment, and I'm on camera for one of the local TV stations here in the Charlotte area again. So yeah,
Well, that's pretty cool. I mean, it's the funny thing is for me is that I never went to school for it.
yeah, yeah,
and then I've got kind of thrown into it back during the kind of the flag, taking down the flag issue in South Carolina. I was
Right.
president of the NAACP at the time. Then I kind of graduated from that and got into the news business.
Right.
And it wasn't like I was asking to get into it.
Right.
They called me and asked me if I would be interested with a job with them, and I'm like, okay, sure. So that was really my break into TV news. But one of the things I remember telling them was, listen, make sure you send me to some kind of training.
right.
Okay, sure. Never saw training a day in my life. And so I remember my very first live shot, and it was terrifying.
Of course, absolutely, absolutely, yeah. When you see that red light go on, you're like this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
A deer in headlights, as you
Yeah.
wrote me today,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, exactly.
The deer in headlights. But you know, it happens, and then as you continue to do it, you became natural.
Yeah, it became easier.
Right.
There's no question
Right.
about that. Yeah.
Right.
By the time it got really, really easy, I had to take my
Yeah.
exit. So,
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
Right. That's all good. So, You learned a lot.
I did.
And
I
so now
did.
you're still using your voice. You do voiceovers too, so that's huge.
Well, yeah, I mean, I still do that. So, producing mainly corporate videos
Okay.
and those kinds of things.
Okay.
But the thing that I'm doing now, instead of just the videography, is I'm pushing towards having or owning really my own media station.
Awesome.
So it's not
Awesome.
just, I don't want to always be known as Steve, the video guy. It's Steve, the guy who owns a media company.
Right.
So that's the direction that I'm going in. I'm actually taking a master's executive class, and we're all talking about those kinds of things. So that part of it is really, really good as well.
Awesome. See, you're picking up more knowledge. See, knowledge is power. It is. Knowledge is power.
It's powerful, that's for sure. That's for
Absolutely.
damn sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
So tell me, what do you think about the growth of Charlotte?
I tell you, so I moved to Charlotte in 2000.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I did scoot out from 2011 to 2015. And I've always lived in the South side. So never in North or University, just West, just always South. I've always enjoyed that area. And so I was off Providence Road, and it used to be extremely wooded. Like it was just
Oh,
woods out there.
right, yeah.
And so now when you go out there, is built up completely. So just around the city in general, watching the growth of the city has been amazing. More and more people. A lot of Ohio tags and a lot of those folks from up north where it's really cold and they
Right.
want to come and migrate here, which I think is great. But yeah, the city just watching woods become buildings, it's amazing. Like I feel like I sound like my mom now.
Right.
But yeah, so it's been extremely great to just watch the growth of the city. And I love Charlotte because it has so many different industries that you can tap into, from media to banking to NASCAR to basketball to football
True.
so I love it because of the amusement park. I was in that industry as well. So just watching all of the city and what it has to offer, which is why I think a lot of people decide to move here as well.
Right, right,
So
right, right.
yeah.
Yeah, Charlotte is definitely an area that is growing. I still view, because I traveled so much around the world, I still view Charlotte as a big town.
Okay.
You know what I
Okay.
mean? I think don't get me wrong. I'm not taking anything away from Charlotte. I think Charlotte is growing in a fantastic rate.
Right.
I think it's growing in a really good direction, but it's still not a metropolitan city. You still have your New Yorks and your Chicagos,
Right.
your Bostons, your Paris, and so forth and so on.
Right.
So those are metropolitan cities. Charlotte still has a way to go before it actually gets there. So,
And I think that those larger cities that you've mentioned have figured out how to maneuver the people. A lot of our problem is, oh my goodness, it takes X amount of time to travel somewhere, right? We talked about
took you a while to get here.
And you're really only 20, 23 minutes, and it took me 40 minutes, right?
Right.
Because of the traffic. And so haven't figured out, okay, with all these people coming in, roads. You do see some work on 77, 85. And I said this to somebody the other day because I'm from Greensboro, so I've been going back and forth to Greensboro to Charlotte. And
Right.
I'm thinking to myself, you guys have been working on 85 since I was 2. Like, come on. Come on, people. And I know they're doing what they can do to get it together, but sometimes I feel like it takes longer. But just trying to figure out how to watching the light rail, we got a trolley. All of those things have come into play to help to ease the traffic and to get people where they need to go. And I think that is key too. And folks miss, I won't say they missed the mark, but they probably didn't think ahead to all these people growing and coming to the city. So yeah.
Well, it's certainly a lot going on. There's no question about that. But I think that Charlotte has, like any city, has its issues that it's got to work out. And one of those, I've always been really big on this, and that is entrepreneurship and minority business.
Right.
When you look at some of the power players in town, the majority of them are not people that look like us.
Right.
And you could look at people who lead major city, I guess in the municipalities. Your chief of police is black, the fire chief is black, the city manager is black. Those things look great, but when you leave that, how much is the city really helping out those that the minority business segment? And I'll be the first to tell you that there are organizations that are in place like CVMSDC, which is Carolinas Virginia Minority Supplier Development Council.
Right.
They are in place to help minority businesses. I think they do a decent job, and they help out those companies that are in construction and that are in IT,
Certain industries.
certain industries.
Right.
But when it comes to, outside of that, I think they're very, very limited in what they can do. So
Right.
again, this is no, well, maybe it is a dig at them. I mean, I'll dig at pretty much anybody if I don't think it's doing the right thing. But
Right.
I think there's a heck of a lot of work that they need to do, and the city needs to do as well.
Yeah, and I, what I want to know is, I know we all are like, okay, how can we do this? But how do we do it? I guess that's the bigger question. What are the ways that we can do to make this a reality for us all? So how can we all benefit from it? And I think that's the key that a lot of people miss. And so they form these organizations, and I think organizations are great. I think those things are good, but what's your action? What's your next step? How do we connect with the Steve Rutherfords or the Laresa Thompsons? How do we connect with those people, those businesses? We do this, we do that, but what's that missing link? And I just feel like people are missing the mark, and we all we haven't figured it out yet.
No, and it's going to take some time. And
Right.
here's a good example. For instance, of course, you and I were at your thing at your house the other night, and who was it talking about? The black journalist. What's your name that was talking about black journalists?
I don't remember. I was in and out of every room. When you're in the hostess with the mostest, you just float from room to room
You were
sometimes.
drinking.
That time I was not.
Alexis
Okay.
was
Okay.
talking about, she was the former president of the organization for the Charlotte area. And I asked her about who's the next president. She said, nobody stepped up. And the reason for that was because Charlotte is what's the market size of Charlotte now? 20?
Yes.
It's a really good place to kind of bounce from here to go to a major market.
Right.
So people don't stay. What she's saying was that people come, they stay for a while, then they move on. The unfortunate part, what that does in many ways is that they're not here long enough to really make things happen.
Right.
We can talk. Listen. I'm going to be here for a while. I mean, what I want to become, or am I advocating to become president of the Charlotte area black journalists? Hell no, I am not. But I think that it's certainly needed. But and listen, that along with other things that don't happen, I guess the right way, are kind of in line with one another. In other words, again, people are not here long enough to really make things happen the way that they should. They're going to complain about it.
Right.
There's no question about
Right.
that. But are they here long enough to really make
a
something?
difference.
Right. So
Yeah.
it's a struggle. Listen, there's always a damn party going on in Charlotte. We're good about hanging out at parties. It's so funny because somebody contacted me a couple of weeks ago. Man, there's nothing to do in Charlotte. I'm like, I don't know where the hell you looking, but there's a lot going on.
It is.
But again, a party does not make things happen the way that they should.
Well, it doesn't create success necessarily.
No.
I think it's what it is. And so a lot of people, they don't stay here because they're looking for the step up.
Right.
They want to go work at a major network or do bigger and better things. And so they see the need to go to another market, or some people leave. Of course, they want to be closer to their families, whatever the reasoning may be. But it's, for those of us that have been here, how do we make that difference? And
Right.
I know with certain organizations, they have certain rules in place. And what we talked about was how do we get those rules changed so that, people who aren't necessarily full-time journalists may get a chance to serve and help and make a difference, And again, rules are rules, and you kind of understand organizations. And so it's interesting, and I think it's a work in progress, just like the city is, just like everything else is. And, I want to kind of go back to what you said, and you're right. We do have a lot of people that are African American in prominent positions. But again, we can't just depend on those people.
No.
You
No.
know, how do we go out and how do we make the difference? What do we do differently I find myself, and you've done this as well. I go back and I talk to journalists at my alma mater, which is North Carolina A&T State University.
Thanks for the plug. Good plug. Good plug.
But I always go back and talk to the students and try to help them find their way. But one of the key things that I love that the university is starting to do is teach them about entrepreneurship. Not just,
Okay.
oh, be a reporter, go get a job, go work at a TV station, go work at a radio station, go do PR for someone. No, they're like, hey, start your own business.
Right.
So as a business owner, I was so excited to see, oh my gosh, they're taking a different direction and trying to teach people to be Steve Rutherfords and Laresa Thompsons.
Right.
So I think that makes a difference too, because there's so much out here from blogging to what we're doing now, podcasts that can reach so many different people, just like the news stations
Yep.
do. So I think that makes a difference too. So yeah.
Well, it's funny. So let's talk about entrepreneurship. It's a lot of people have ideas.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to jump.
And and you and I both know this. Owning business is scary.
Yeah.
So we're used to the paycheck every 2 weeks. We are used to health insurance. That
Yeah.
is one of the most expensive things if you're an entrepreneur, by the way.
That is true.
We are used to those because we dependent on those. They're paying our bills, our car payment.
Yeah.
We're able to travel with our families. When you start a business, it's a sacrifice. I don't care how much money you save. It is a sacrifice.
Yeah.
And so entrepreneurship is a good thing. You work just as hard, but it's for you.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's the reward that you're getting where you go and you build other companies. You can build your own company with your knowledge. And so for me, I've done PR, communications, writing, that kind of stuff all of my life. I launched Thompson and Boyd Communications 4 years ago. And then, as you know, I launched another business, which I consider communicating, but it's Yardy Cardi.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
It's so I get to put great messages in people's yards or help promote businesses or events. Happy birthday, I love you.
Yeah.
But it's all of those things incorporated, but hey, shaking in my boots.
Yeah.
But following my passion too. And so I've been fortunate a lot. And so sometimes my PR communications, sometimes I was kind of doing that when I was full time because that's what you have to do to build your business.
Right,
That's
right.
reality.
Yep.
And so it can be a little trying, especially if you're married, have a family, because you got to learn how to balance with your full time plus your entrepreneurial desire,
Sure.
plus your wife, plus your kids. And so, but it's so rewarding and I wouldn't trade it.
But something, I think that there's a heck of a lot more support. Again, and I'll say this again, there's a lot more support for those industries like construction and in IT.
Right.
Don't get me wrong.
Right.
Those are very big industries. They need
Right.
a lot of help. But I'm always, obviously, since I'm already in the entertainment / media
Right.
industry, I'm going to always fight for this particular industry.
Right.
And I'll be honest with you. When I first started out, I've never received any kind of help in getting the business going. I looked for it. I
Right.
asked for it. And when I did ask, they thought that I was a competition. They wouldn't tell me anything.
Right.
It can be a struggle to kind of get out there and make that thing happen.
Right.
And, like you were saying, you're praying that every week you're going to find some kind of project to
Absolutely.
work on.
Absolutely.
And whenever there's like a major, any kind of event going on, if I go, I'm always looking at who is providing, in this particular case, the AV services.
Right. Absolutely.
And I'm like, well, why the hell is that not me or at least another minority-owned company that offers that service? So I don't understand that, and it kind of ticks me off when I see that.
And it's crazy because for what you just mentioned, so for an example, some people will have their events at hotels or wherever. Well, it's easier for me to just say, oh, I'll just let them take care of it
It is,
versus
yep.
using Rutherford Media, right?
Yeah.
Because they think it's all in one package, when in essence, they probably can get so much more from you, including live feeds and those kind of live streaming.
Right.
And so I don't think that people understand the value sometimes in what we do. and they look for the easiest route. It's like what I was talking about with the link earlier. It's
Right.
convenience. It's
Yeah.
all about convenience
That's
and
true.
what's easier for me. This is what I want to think about. I don't want to think about anything else, and this is what I'm going to do. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're a little lazy sometimes. Let's be real.
We're lazy a lot.
Yeah, we're lazy. We're a little lazy American people. I'm just saying. Yeah. So
But I will tell you on this show that we will talk about being an entrepreneur a lot.
yeah,
Because there's a heck of a lot of information out there that is not being pushed out, that's not being told. And those people who want to jump, I think that sometimes they really need to hear that information.
Right.
And don't get me wrong. There was one time I was kind of not feeling that person who was working a job
right.
and then had something on the side and then call themselves an entrepreneur. I'm like,
Right.
you're not no damn entrepreneur.
Right.
But really they are.
Right.
Really they are. So, but, when that person decides to take the jump or if they're thinking about it, it is a huge commitment like you were talking about. Steve Harvey talks about it all the time, taking the jump, taking the
Right.
leap, whatever you want to call it. It's a
Right.
leap of faith. Listen, it provides you with such freedom. It's crazy.
Yep.
But you got to work for that freedom.
Absolutely.
This is absolutely the hardest job I've ever had in my life.
Yeah.
Me being a reporter, not hard. Me being in the Navy, not hard.
Right.
As compared to what this thing is, because this
Right.
this requires day in and day out
7
commitment.
days a week.
7 days a week. Right. That's exactly right.
Absolutely.
So when I
Yeah.
go on vacation, I truly go on vacation because
Right.
it's like a time for me to sit back and breathe.
Right. You can shut down from everything.
I can shut down.
The flexibility though is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like I have to say, if I want to just say to now I have 2 businesses, so that gets a little daring sometimes. But I have other people I can kind of call in, especially for my yard card business, to kind of do what needs to be done.
Right.
But I'll have to share one of the young ladies that was actually at my my family giving. So I invited my friends and family over for
Right.
Thanksgiving. I have to work on Thanksgiving, so I did it the Saturday before. It was phenomenal. Great
was.
group of
It was-
people.
it was great.
Thank you and your wife for coming.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so it was one of the young ladies that was there. She was the first one who talked me into starting my own business, who told me what to do. And so a lot of people don't understand what to do when it comes to entrepreneurship. How do I register my business? Do I need to be an LLC? Do I need to be
Right.
a sole proprietorship?
Yep.
And so for me, had she not done that years ago, I probably would still be working in corporate America. And I love corporate America, but I would still be working for someone else versus myself.
Sure. Yeah.
And so you have to surround yourself with the right people and trying to figure those things out. People are like, oh, how do you do that? And some of the things you can Google. Now, okay. But it does help, She actually went down with me to register my first business.
Okay.
Which I love decorating. So that was my first business. And I loved it. And I still do, as you probably, you know this, I still do it. But she walked me down. We went down to Mecklenburg County offices down
Oh,
there,
right,
registered my business.
Yep.
That was only the beginning. So it's so much more. You got to get a bank account. What are those things that I need to establish? Okay, I probably need an accountant. What do I need to do?
Right.
So it's all of those things that I think scare people too,
Yep.
because they don't know what to do. So they have Google is available, but again, surrounding yourself with the right people, getting connected. And there are some organizations that are out there that can help you and find a business owner who's
Right.
done it and
Yep.
ask those questions.
That's a good idea.
And make sure that you take that step. Don't quit your job yet. Maybe that's
Right.
down the road, but
Right.
at least get it done and get yourself established so that you can start that ball rolling.
It's funny. One of the things that a lot of entrepreneurs kind of struggle with is their worth, their value.
Right.
And early on, of course, I didn't charge what I charge now, but I had to build up to it. And
Right.
I still have friends today that have been in business for quite some time, and they'll float something by me and say, "Hey, do you think that this is a fair price?" And I almost always would tell them, "You're not charging enough."
Right. Right.
And their fear is that they're going to lose the client.
Right.
I said, well,
Oh,
fine.
yeah.
Lose the damn client. Just find clients that's willing to pay what you are offering.
Right.
So again, like I said before, I didn't have that mentor in the beginning that was able to tell me, here's the cost structure, this is how you should do it.
Right.
I learned through trial and error.
Right.
Well, a lot of error.
Right.
But we kind of devalue our self-worth because we just don't know.
Right.
And listen, I will tell you this too. Some of the worst some of the worst people that will for us is us. You know, it's here. For instance, I'll submit a quote for something. Here's the price, and they almost always want to know if I can do it for half of that.
Yeah.
And my answer is, you must be crazy.
And it very well should be. And I like what you said about worth and value, but I want businesses to understand this is an investment.
Right.
So one of my friends actually said this to me, probably was it last week or week before, about investment. Like, okay, hey, XYZ business, this is an investment in your business. You need our cameras, you need our work, you need our live streaming. We're offering a service that somebody else isn't offering you. You really
Right.
need to invest in this so that X people can see you can probably reach this amount of the audience, if you do it this way. So I try to get people to better understand that it's an investment. Like
Right.
you're investing in your business when you ask me to help you with public relations or your Instagram or your Facebook or whatever it is, or to put a yard card to surprise your husband or your wife. Like those are things that are super important. You're investing in the person, in yourself. And yeah, no, I'm not. This is what I'm going to do. Now, I will say that there have been a couple of things when you first start out in business. I will tell you this. There are a couple of freebies that I've had to do.
Yeah.
And what those freebies did was they led me to 3 other clients,
Right.
2
Right.
other clients, which then in turn led me to another client.
Right.
So that word of mouth spread even without that. And I think you and I talk about this all the time. Social media, if you own a business, if you are an entrepreneur, depending on what your business is, maybe you need LinkedIn because your business is more HR related. Maybe you do media and podcasts, and maybe you need to be on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. Think about those things too. But what I want to say is this:
Okay.
social media is not your only marketing tool.
Right.
Social media is a free marketing tool that has been provided to you, right? It's free,
Right.
right? And so most of the time, that's probably not going to generate as much as if Steve says, Laresa did a great job. She brought us blah, 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 and this
Yeah.
is why we need her. So I want you to better understand, and I'm getting a little off topic,
Oh,
but
no,
it's
you're
part of
good.
entrepreneurship. But want you guys to understand, do not depend socially on only on social media. Like that, it's a free marketing tool. Use it. I encourage you to definitely do that. But that's probably not whatever you would do without social media. You need to do, because that's what's going to generate that business for
Sure,
you. So
sure.
my word of mouth is still the number one
Yeah, I agree
way
with that.
that people get businesses. And then what I do is I go and say, oh, let me look up Rutherford Media and see what their reviews are. And that's when I probably go to Facebook and go to Instagram and see
Right.
what you're talking about, or see all the fun projects you've done, or to
Yep.
see whatever. So I want you to think about it from that perspective too, because that's not probably how you're going to get most of your business. So yeah.
Wow. Yeah. No, good information. That's
Yeah.
that's a very good idea. And you're right. I think I'm on one, two. I think I'm on 3 or 4. No, 2 or 3 social media platforms. And I think for me, it's a good informational outlet.
Right.
I don't know
Absolutely.
that it's ever brought me any business.
There you go.
But at least people are aware of who I am and what I do.
Yep.
And again, like I said before, now again, the big transition for me is to go from this AV company to this media company where we're
Right.
producing these shows and content creation and things of that nature. So I'm going to continue to use social media. There's going to be a brand new website that's going to be coming up called Square Media. Under that will be, the project with Steve Rutherford and Blackumentary and all those other things will be under that. But the programming is going to be key too. So,
Right.
listen, it's as an entrepreneur, you have to always think of something that next thing.
Right.
You have to do that.
Right.
There's like in my own case, for instance, I had 3 major clients. had. And they slowly began to go away, and I kind of saw the writing on the wall, but I apparently I saw that writing too damn late.
Right.
And when that last one left, I'm like, whoa, this is not a good situation to be in.
Right.
Excuse me. So, but what it did for me is it pushed me to begin to create something else, and that's where I came up with the idea about the media station.
There you go.
So you have to do it. Listen, there's no money in thinking about creating something.
No.
But you have to think about the this is a means to an end.
Right.
There's no question about that.
Right.
So, I would love to have been in a situation one day where I can say, Laresa, here's the offer. Would you come and at least work for the station? That would be awesome for me.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Absolutely. You never know.
That's true. That is
Yeah,
true.
you
That's
never
true.
know.
Yeah.
No, that's kind of cool, and I like to hear those stories. But what I've realized is when those things went away for you, you didn't stop. So that's the key to entrepreneurship. So you had 3.
I slowed down a lot.
You
though.
slowed down. You slowed down. Hey, listen.
I'm like, oh no, this
Yeah.
is not good.
Yeah. And so but you continued to hustle. That's
Yeah.
the key. You didn't give up. So you found other creative things that were inside of you, because everything you need is inside of you, everything you need. And so there are going to be obstacles, I think, that happen in your life that bring out those other things that I didn't even know I could do this.
Right.
Who ever thought about that?
Yeah.
And so I think that is part of who we are and how we're structured, because we go through those obstacles to say, oh, okay, wait, I'm going to do a podcast now.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, I'm going to do this now. And it works out great.
Yeah, it certainly can.
Yeah.
It certainly can, man.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's again, this program is really focused on entrepreneurship and just other things as well. But I want to make sure that we talk about being an entrepreneur.
Real talk.
Yeah, real talk.
Yeah.
Yeah, not no flowery.
I'm not going
crap.
to give, there we go.
You
I'm
know,
not going to give you the PR, what we call the PR answer. No, that's
No,
not
no,
what we
no,
want.
No,
No.
Here's the real deal.
Right.
It's tough. There are moments. Listen, when things get really bad for me, I started looking for a job.
Yeah, absolutely.
I had my resume redone.
Raise your hand.
Right.
If you've done it.
But unfortunately, nobody called me. I'm like, you got to be
See,
kidding
that's
me.
how it works, people.
But I don't, and everybody, all the headhunters are like, man, this is a fantastic resume. Your background, blah blah blah. I'm like, well, fine, we'll find me a damn job. But
Right.
it just didn't happen.
Right.
So I'm my business. I love what I do. I love the creating part.
Right.
And we're going to begin to create more and more things as we go along. But again, the thing that this program is about entrepreneurship and bringing people on that can talk about it.
Right,
Again,
absolutely.
not just some BS.
Right.
Here's the real conversation about it.
Right.
So that's what we're going to be talking about. Listen, I've been to many, many conferences where they talked about doing better as a business owner.
Right.
And here we are producing the show, and I'm listening to the person speak about it. I'm like, they have no freaking idea what the hell they're talking about. That's not real.
That's not real.
You know what I mean?
No.
So, but yeah, this show for me is about telling people, here's what you really have to do to make these things work.
Right.
And I want to make sure that we get people in that can talk about it. And again, don't get me wrong. We may end up talking about world events,
Right, and other things,
and
yeah.
other things as well.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
quite frankly, when you're owning a business, you shouldn't just think locally.
Absolutely.
or regionally or even in the U.S., think globally.
Right.
I
Right.
mean, can you do Yardi Cardi in Dubai? Yeah, you
Yeah.
probably could. Yeah.
Yeah. Not in the sand. I don't know with the stakes. I don't know. Totally kidding.
Right.
They have grass there, people. That was a joke.
but but you can certainly people have to think about how they can arrange these things on a global format. So
Right.
there's a ton of things we have to think about. But
Yeah. And it's funny because I had to go speak on a panel maybe 2 months ago, business as a business owner, and so love this and maybe able to connect you with some of these folks, but empowering especially the women to get involved. And so one of the things that we talked about, again, it's real. I had a young lady that she talked about how she had to do some contract work,
right,
in order to make sure the bills were paid, but she still runs her photography business.
yeah,
That's the key to it,
yep,
right?
yep,
So I know I'm going to have to do this and I know I'm going to have to work extra hard to get this done, but it's what do you really want to do? What are your aspirations? And so on that panel, it's just always a group of folks that walk you through even self-care. We talked about self-care,
right,
marketing. You talk about financials. All of those different topics, are talked about, and there are experts there to kind of walk you through.
sure,
And so for me, I took a good chunk of money and started Yardy Cardi, a little less than $5,000. And you're like, oh my God, you did what? Are you crazy? You took your money and you did that? But, I've had my business for 6 months now,
right,
and it's exploded. And so I've done stuff for city, for residential, which is my biggest client.
right,
And so Ballantyne Hotel, CMS schools. And so you look at all those things and you're like, man. But for me, I have to tell you and Steve has known me for a long time. I'm not even going to tell you how many years because I'm still 27.
yep,
But
yep, you are, yep.
But point being, for me, Yardy Cardi helped me to find my purpose. What's your purpose? And for me, I love making people happy,
Yeah.
bringing them smiles. And I cry sometimes when I put these cards out and I see the reactions and I see the people and they're like, oh my gosh, somebody loves me enough to put happy birthday in my yard or cheers to 50 years or whatever it is.
Right, right.
And the response, that is amazing to me. And everybody's surprised.
Yeah.
Everybody can find special events. Like I had the opportunity to work with Danae en Blanc. And it's
I'm sorry. What was it?
Danae en Blanc.
Dîner en blanc.
Danae en Blanc.
What is
Dinner en Blanc.
Oh, and,
I'll
oh,
say
no,
it that way if you. It's the white. Yes. So
Okay.
it essentially, in a nutshell, it's the outside dinner. You have to wear all white, tablecloth white, everything white. All and it. What a great way to bring a group of folks together. The camaraderie. Phenomenal event. They had it at the park in Uptown, and so I had an opportunity to do some yard card messaging for them, and the number of people that put the pictures out there. So these letters are fascinating to people. People like fun stuff.
Right.
Right? I don't care how old you are, whether
Right.
you're 20 or whether you're 10 or you're 55, you're like, oh my gosh, look at the pretty letters.
Right,
That
right.
spell out whatever they spell out. So, yes, I'm talking about my business a lot, Steve. It's shameless plugging,
No,
right?
it's not shameless.
Totally kidding.
Girl, you better go ahead and do it.
But what I want you guys to truly understand is, what is your purpose? What is your passion? Find it. And if you don't know everything that you need to know about it, take a class. So when I started decorating, I took a class and did an apprenticeship under the decorating den. And
Oh.
so I was with her for months and learned about measuring windows. Now I could put some colors together and do all this stuff, but I learned how to measure the room and learn how to measure windows to put up valances and curtains and have curtains made and material and fabrics. And
Right.
so when you came over, you probably saw my custom pillows. Like those are the things. What is it that you want to find out about?
Right.
So take a class. You said you went back to school. So
did, yeah.
you may have to take a class at CPCC or somewhere to kind of learn a
Yep.
little bit more too.
Yep. I agree. Totally agree, man. This
So,
is,
yeah.
it's amazing the things that you can do, taking, and I've said this a few times already, but taking the leap
Right.
can be one of the most terrifying things that you could ever do in your life.
Yeah.
Because you're basically saying, I'm going to jump off this cliff,
Right.
and I'm going
Without a parachute,
without a
possibly.
parachute, and I'm going to see what happens.
Right.
So that's kind of what I don't know, kind of taking that leap
Right.
will do.
Yeah. 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 And it can be a bit much too. So you just kind of never know. Now
Yeah,
we're laughing
Yeah,
because
we had a little.
this lovely lady just came into the room with us.
You see it on the side? No, on the side over here.
And so,
It's a
yeah.
little gray button. No, towards the front.
And this is, folks, what
Oh no,
happens
I'm sorry.
when
Look
you're
at
live.
the very top, very top,
So,
very top.
yeah.
See, there's two buttons up there. One says, right on the handle. There, you hit that. Yeah. Yeah, I just thought about that.
Oh,
My God.
shut the front door.
Yeah, well, it's recording there.
Yeah.
But okay, thanks.
It's okay. Live.
So,
Live. This is what happens when you're live.
Yeah, it's live TV,
Yeah.
guys. Live, whatever you want to call
Yeah.
it. Hey, this is our very first one. There's some kinks we got to work out.
Yeah.
I didn't hit the record button, but that's but that's okay.
One
That's
of the
okay.
most important things that you need to do.
Yeah, yeah. But here's the funny thing too, because you're going to be back. You're definitely coming back. I'm not too sure when, but I want you to come back and so we can talk
I want to
about
be
different-
transported through the air, so maybe by the time 77 and 85 get larger, I can get here. No, I'm just kidding.
I'll
Totally
work on
kidding.
that. I'll work.
Work on a big chopper or something.
You know, it's funny. There was a guy that was in my. He was one of the speakers at my this master's class. He, of course, an entrepreneur, but he classified himself as a launcher. Mm-hmm. And
Very good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All he does is launches businesses. He comes up with the idea, or somebody else will come up with the idea. He launches it, and then he sells it.
Wow.
He doesn't keep any of the. He's probably launched, I think he said maybe 8 or 9 businesses.
Wow.
And they're major businesses in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, wow, man, what a title, self-given title, if you will.
Right.
Who knew about that
A business
category?
launcher.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Sounds sexy. I guess. I like to use words of encouragement. So I feel like launch is a good word. Like
Yeah.
I feel like invest is a good word. Like because you are taking it personal. Like that's, oh, it's part of my life.
Right.
It's part of me. It's part of my business. And so I feel like that probably makes a difference too.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. And I do affirmations. So this is part of to me in my life, entrepreneurships,
Yep.
the affirmations from other business owners. I belong to a group that she does prayers and different things to encourage business owners.
Right.
And so again, finding that fit, whatever it may be for you, but you definitely want to keep it positive. You want to keep those things that are going to encourage you because you're going to get discouraged, right?
lot.
A
lot.
lot. Especially if you lose 3 major businesses or you don't hear from anybody for 3 weeks, you know, you're like, okay, what am I supposed to do now? Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. And so, you just kind of have to figure it out. Maybe you have to get a part-time job, but you know, whatever it is that you can do to keep yourself encouraged as well. Don't forget that's part of the self-care.
And you know, but it's funny
Yeah.
you mentioned that because you know you have to, as entrepreneurs, you kind of belong in this small group,
Right.
whatever that group is, and you have to check on each other from time to
Yeah.
time because when there's moments when you don't hear from somebody, there's no
Yeah.
Facebook post. It's like, hey,
Steve, where
what's
are
going
you?
on? Right. What
How
are
are
you doing?
you?
Because
Yeah.
listen, man, this is not a game. And listen, don't get me wrong. I have friends that they're entrepreneurs, and their business model. I'm sorry, their business they've done and are doing very, very well.
Right.
You know, we got a big house, but the bottom line is they still go through the same concerns and worries that we do.
Absolutely.
So a lot of people equate success to money. For instance, there were many years I made well over 6 figures. Not a problem. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
Some people would say, well, damn, you didn't really make any money. Well, to me, I did make quite a bit of money. It's okay for me. Other people say, well, you know, I made several $1 million and then I lost it.
Right.
Then I started back and I made another $1 million, and I'm only making, $45,000 a year. Your level of success should not really depend on how much money that you're making. For me, a
That's
level
right.
of success really depends on, are you, it's pretty simple. Are you freaking happy?
There you go.
Do you feel good?
That is all it's about. And that's what you need to probably try to keep in your mind. It's not about, it's not about that monetary thing.
Right.
Like, don't base it on those things. Now, when you write your business plan and you possibly have to go to the bank to ask for a loan, or you
Right.
have investors. For me, I have a couple of folks that want to invest in one of my businesses.
Sure.
And so it's like they want to see a plan. What's your plan?
Yeah.
What have you made,
No
and what do
question.
you plan to make? And I get that part, right? But again, it's all about what's here and that passion that you have, and all that other stuff is going to come.
Right.
At
Right.
the
Right.
end of the day, all of that other stuff is going to come. I have people calling me from Greensboro now and wanting me. So in my mind, I'm thinking franchise,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
get somebody here. What are the things that, so I think about those things. And in 6 months, I wasn't expecting to have the explosion.
Right.
And there have been quiet periods too, but
Yeah.
there's been a bit, but I've invested in a lot of materials for my businesses too, for both of them.
Right.
So, yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I do. Oh yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's an amazing thing. There's no question about
Yeah.
that.
Oh yeah.
Listen, I know we can go on and on about this. I'm not too sure how long we've been up and running.
Probably for about 40 minutes.
You think so? Wow.
Yeah. You talk a lot. Just kidding. We talk a lot together.
Yeah, we do, don't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, we do.
That's not a bad thing. I don't think that's a bad thing.
But listen, let me ask you some kind of baseline questions.
Sure,
I'm gonna
absolutely.
throw these at you.
Okay.
You give me a response. What do you think about what's your opinion on gun control?
This has nothing to do with entrepreneurship, by the way. So I have to tell you, for me, and working in the news business, as you know, together, I've watched the world evolve over the years, and I think a lot of things have been taking place. I think they are more prominent now because
Yeah.
of social media,
Right.
these video phones that we have, these cameras that we have that we walk around with every day. And so I think that, in essence, a lot of the stuff that's happening, the violence that is happening, I feel like more can and should be done. There are laws that are in place, but what I'm finding is that it's so hard. I find that people end up in possession of certain things that they shouldn't have.
Yeah.
They didn't.
In your view, they
In my
shouldn't
view,
have.
they
Right.
shouldn't have. I'm sorry. And well, especially when they go shoot up things or do crazy stuff
Well,
or shoot people,
yeah.
right? But and so we're running into a wall on figuring out how to stop certain things. Like, people are going to always do things that are illegal.
Sure.
Like, we kind of know that.
No question.
And
Yep.
so what is it that we can do and put in place to maybe stop some of that? There are already some things in place, but we probably need to do more.
Right.
But a couple of violent incidents that have happened, they're rightfully owned. They own guns,
Yeah.
and they had the right to own guns,
Yeah.
right? And they had a permit, and they had this, and they just decided to, unfortunately, take lives. And so I think it's not just gun. I think it is actually more so, honestly, mental health.
Oh yeah. No, I agree with that.
And so I think a lot of people I think we are getting better as a society in admitting, okay, I need help right now.
Right.
Like, no, raise your hand, I need help.
Yeah.
I think we're getting better at it, but there's still some fear in admitting that, okay, something's wrong with me. I'm having an episode. I want to kill myself. I want to go commit a violent act. And how do we help those people? Now, there are just some people that just are mean, and and I don't know what to do about those people.
Right. Right.
And so, but in a lot of instances, I'm finding that guns are just getting in the wrong hands. illegally.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah,
my
yeah.
opinion.
Well, let me just say this, and I don't recall which incident this was, but this is the guy, I think he was a former Marine. He probably had PTSD, suffering from it, blah, blah, blah. But he even said, I think he posted something before he continued to shoot people, that the most that you're going to do after this is all done is say, my hopes and prayers are with you.
Yeah.
That's all that's going to be. This is from the shooter.
Yeah. And it's crazy and sad because, people like that, do you get to a point in your life? We sometimes, working in the media, we have to get the news out. We have to tell you what happened,
Sure,
right?
sure.
Does it happen so much that we're putting these things in people's heads to do? Are we
Yeah,
doing?
yeah, yeah.
I'm seeing this all the time. I don't know. Again, I'm just throwing some things out there because I'm
Right.
going to give you a whole lot of different things to think about.
Right.
But I think that was the Las Vegas guy, if I'm not mistaken. I might be wrong, so
Right, right,
forgive
right.
me. But it just, why isn't there help for people like him? Why did he think that he had to go all the way to the edge like that?
That's a good question. I don't know.
And then a
I
lot
don't
of
think anybody's going to know
no,
that.
no,
It,
no.
it's. I personally, I think that there should be some kind of control on assault weapons.
Okay, okay,
That's just my
Right.
my thought.
Right.
I don't own one. There was probably at one point where I thought about buying a few, but I did not. I'm like, well, what
What am
for?
I gonna do? Right,
Yeah.
right.
So and again, that's just my view.
Right.
Listen, here's something else for you. What's your what do you think about immigration as a whole, especially all the stuff that's going on now?
Okay, so for me, I'll have to say that, listen, I think that everybody should be allowed to be here in America. It is a melting pot.
Right.
This is who we are. This is what we do. And so I think I think you need to do things the right way.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
do
yeah.
agree with that.
Yeah.
I don't blame somebody being illegal on violent crimes. That's ludicrous.
Right.
Right?
Right.
At the end of the day, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And so I just feel like, what are the things that we can do to help them do things the right way?
Sure.
If I want to come here, what are the things that I need to do to become American citizen or get a visa and work here and see if I want to move my family here?
Sure.
That's just kind of how I feel. I think it's, I tell people this. When you go to heaven, it's not going to be just black people. It's not going to be just white people. It's not going to be just Asian people. It's going to be a whole rainbow of people, which is what America is.
Now,
So
which how do you get to the over there to the
how did I get to heaven?
yeah is that no go ahead stop playing go ahead I mean to get you off track sorry
It's all good.
Praise
So
the Lord.
I think that I think we all need to have heart changes, but I think that, it's the country for everyone. Live here, be, have your life and do what you want to do. Bring your family here. I'm just really passionate about that. I just think that's the right thing.
yeah
Again, it's a melting pot. This is here. This is what we do.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah.
again, when you get to heaven, people, I don't know what hell's going to be like. I don't know. I won't be able to say that. I don't know.
yeah well we don't know about either one of those places.
Yes, we don't.
No,
we don't.
we don't have
we
a
don't
clue
right now.
about it.
Well, I don't know. But anyway, okay.
Those who have halfway, there are some folks who have halfway died and saw the white light. And,
Yes.
and
Yeah, that's
all
happened.
that. That is, and that's a subject of mine that I want to talk about too. I want
Okay.
to try to bring on some PhD and whatever the heck it is, so we can talk about that.
And you yeah.
And another topic, something else we're going to be talking about is because I love this topic, but the Bible. So, and I'm just going to leave it at that because you and I could get into a long, drawn-out
Absolutely.
conversation about that.
Yeah.
Oh Lord, but I'll leave that alone. But Laresa, thank you.
You don't
thank
have any
you.
more Steve's questions? He asked me 2 questions. And he asked me about guns and immigration.
Um,
No.
do I have
don't.
any more?
No, you don't.
I
you really don't. You don't.
But listen, I appreciate you coming on the show. This is the first one. Thank you very, 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 very much.
Absolutely.
And I hope that you're able to come back and we can talk about more stuff.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
But folks, this is the project with Steve Rutherford. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll be back. We'll see you.
Yeah. Thank you.